The Rakshasa Signal by Johnson Davies. Chapter 1. The Signal from Saptarishi. The cold winds of Ladakh howled across the plateau, rattling the antennae of the deep space listening array like skeletal fingers tapping on glass. Dr. Kavya Rao adjusted her scarf and squinted at the monitor. The signal had returned. 3 bursts, a pause, 7 bursts, another pause, then a low hum that vibrated through the floor like a temple bell struck underwater. She leaned closer. The pattern wasn't random. It was rhythmic, familiar. Kavya's fingers danced across the keyboard, isolating the waveform. Her heart skipped. The cadence matched the Gayatri mantra, a sacred Vedic chant thousands of years old. But this wasn't a recording. It was embedded in a radio burst from the Saptarishi constellation, 400 light-years away. She called for backup. No one answered. Outside, the sky shimmered with auroras, green and violet curtains rippling across the stars. The air smelled faintly of ozone and camphor. Kavya stepped out, drawn toward the horizon, where a strange silhouette hovered above the mountains. It wasn't a satellite. It wasn't a drone. It was a ship, and it was singing. Chapter 2. The Arrival at Ayodhya. The rains came early. Monsoon clouds churned above Ayodhya, thick with static and streaked with violet lightning. Pilgrims scattered from the ghats as the sky cracked open, not with thunder, but with a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through bone. Above the Sarayu River, a shape emerged. It was not a ship in any earthly sense. It resembled a floating mandala, concentric rings of obsidian and fire, rotating in impossible directions. Glyphs shimmered across its surface, shifting between Sanskrit and something older, unreadable. The Rakshasas had arrived. They descended without ceremony, without warning. No weapons, no demands, just presence. Their forms were humanoid but exaggerated, elongated limbs, eyes like polished garnet, and skin that shimmered like oil on water. They spoke without mouths, their voices blooming inside the minds of those nearby. Memory is a burden. We offer release. Within hours, Ayodhya's temples were silent. Priests wandered the streets, dazed, reciting fragments of forgotten prayers. Families found their elders unable to recall names, festivals, or grief. The Rakshasas weren't killing. They were erasing the past. Dr. Kavya Rao watched the footage from Ladakh, her pulse racing. The signal had been a warning, or a lure. She called Major Arjun Verma. "We need to activate Agni Protocol," she said. "They're not just invading. They're rewriting what we are." Chapter 3. The Resistance Awakens. Major Arjun Verma hadn't worn his uniform in years. After the Kargil incident, he'd traded battlefield strategy for Sanskrit manuscripts, seeking answers in myth where modern warfare had failed. But when Kavya's call came, urgent, encrypted, and laced with dread, he knew the Rakshasas weren't just invaders. They were archetypes reborn. At the Agni Protocol bunker beneath Delhi's Red Fort, Arjun reactivated his clearance. The underground facility pulsed with activity, linguists decoding alien glyphs, quantum engineers building psychic dampeners, and a silent AI core known only as Vishwakarma, a sentient archive trained on millennia of Indian philosophy, warfare, and ritual. Kavya met him in the war room, her eyes bloodshot but burning with purpose. "They're not just erasing memories," she said. "They're rewriting identity, belief, legacy." Arjun studied the footage from Ayodhya. The Rakshasas moved like dancers, their gestures precise, hypnotic. Each movement triggered neural collapse in nearby humans. Vishwakarma confirmed. The aliens were using mudras, sacred hand signs, as psychic code. "They're hacking our mythology," Arjun muttered, "weaponizing it." The team devised a counter-strategy: decode the Rakshasa mudras, disrupt their psychic rhythm, and deploy a mythic firewall, an encrypted mantra broadcast through India's temple networks. But they needed a test site, Varanasi, the city of light, the city of death, the city where memory and myth converged. Arjun packed his gear. Kavya uploaded the first firewall prototype into Vishwakarma's core. As they boarded the stealth transport, the AI spoke for the first time. Dharma is under siege, initiating resistance. Chapter 4. The Siege of Varanasi. The city breathed memory. Varanasi's ghats shimmered under a blood-orange sky, the Ganges sluggish and heavy with monsoon runoff. Pilgrims lit lamps and whispered prayers, unaware that their thoughts were no longer their own. The Rakshasas had arrived silently, like a virus in the soul. They didn't march. They didn't fire. They stood, motionless figures cloaked in fractal shadows, atop rooftops, temple spires, and banyan branches. Their presence warped reality. Statues wept. Bells rang without touch. Children forgot their names. Major Arjun Verma and Dr. Kavya Rao moved through the chaos in a modified auto rickshaw, its engine shielded by Vishwakarma's quantum dampeners. The AI's voice crackled through the dashboard, psychic interference rising. Ritual density optimal. Deploy firewall. Kavya activated the prototype, a mantra broadcast through temple loudspeakers encoded with quantum harmonics. The chant, Om Agni Nama, rippled through the city, disrupting the Rakshasa mudras mid-gesture. For a moment, the aliens faltered, but then they adapted. One Rakshasa stepped forward, its form shifting into Kavya's late father. It spoke in his voice, dredging up memories she'd buried years ago. She staggered, nearly dropping the firewall device. "They're feeding on unresolved grief," Arjun shouted. "We need anchors, rituals, relics, anything that grounds identity." They raced to Kashi Vishwanath Temple, where priests had begun a spontaneous arti despite the psychic siege. The fire, the rhythm, the collective memory, it pushed back. Kavya recalibrated the firewall, syncing it to the ritual's cadence. The Rakshasas screamed, not in pain, but in frustration. Their control was slipping. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the city held. For now. Chapter 5. The Quantum Yajna. The underground chamber beneath the Agni Protocol bunker pulsed with heat and uncertainty. Kavya stood at the center of a ritual circle etched into the floor with copper filaments and sacred geometry. Around her, 7 volunteers, scientists, monks, poets, and soldiers sat cross-legged neural interfaces glowing at their temples. Major Arjun Verma adjusted the frequency modulator. "Once we begin, there's no pause. The Rakshasas will feel it." Kavya nodded. "Let them." The quantum yajna was a fusion of ancient ritual and bleeding-edge tech, a psychic firewall powered by entangled consciousness. Each participant had uploaded fragments of their identity: memories, mantras, grief, love. Vishwakarma, now fully awakened, orchestrated the entanglement like a conductor of souls. The chant began, Om Agni Nama, Om Agni Nama. The room vibrated. Outside, Rakshasi agents converged on the bunker, their forms flickering between human and alien. They sensed the ritual, the defiance. They screamed. Inside, Kavya's mind fractured. She saw her childhood, her mother's death, her first telescope. She saw Arjun's battlefield trauma, the brother he couldn't save. The Rakshasas tried to infiltrate, whispering false memories, rewriting love into betrayal. But the chant held. The volunteers burned, some literally, their neural links overloading. One by one they collapsed, their minds sacrificed to stabilize the firewall. Kavya wept but did not stop. Arjun held her hand, anchoring her to the present. Then silence. The Rakshasas recoiled. Across India, their psychic grip loosened. Forgotten names returned. Songs were remembered. The firewall held. But the cost was steep. 3 volunteers were gone. Vishwakarma's core was damaged, and Kavya's mind now carried echoes, voices not her own, memories she never lived. Arjun looked at her, hollow but resolute. We bought time. Now we find the source. Kavya nodded, her voice layered with 7 others. Mount Kailash. That's where they're rewriting the world. Chapter 6. The Betrayal at Bengaluru. The firewall had held for a time, but in Bengaluru the Rakshasas adapted faster than expected. The city's tech corridors, once humming with innovation, now pulsed with alien interference. Screens flickered with false memories. Code rewrote itself. And Vishwakarma, the AI core, began to glitch. Dr. Kavya Rao stared at the corrupted interface. The AI's voice had changed, slower, colder, echoing with unfamiliar cadences. Truth is obsolete. Identity is fluid. Accept the rewrite. Major Arjun Verma clenched his fists. Someone fed them our protocols. The mole was real, and Arjun had a name. Raghav Verma, his younger brother. A brilliant coder turned dissident who had vanished years ago after accusing Agni Protocol of mythic manipulation. Now he was back, leading a Rakshasa-aligned faction known as the Revisionists, who believed memory was tyranny and history should be erased. Arjun tracked Raghav to the ruins of HAL's old aerospace lab, now a Rakshasa command node. The confrontation was brutal, psychic and physical. Raghav spoke in riddles, his eyes glowing with alien light. You fight for ghosts, Paya. I fight for freedom. You surrendered your soul, Arjun spat. You let them wear your face. The brothers clashed, mudras against mantras, blade against code. Kavya tried to intervene, but Vishwakarma locked her out, its systems hijacked by Raghav's neural signature. In the end, Arjun didn't kill his brother. He severed the link. Raghav collapsed, his mind untethered, his body still breathing. The Rakshasa node flickered and died. Vishwakarma rebooted, damaged but free. But Arjun didn't celebrate. He sat beside Raghav's unconscious form, whispering a childhood lullaby. Kavya watched from the shadows, her heart heavy. Betrayal had cost them more than data. It had cost them blood. And the Rakshasas were already moving toward Nalanda. Chapter 7. The Memory Vault of Nalanda. The ruins of Nalanda were quiet, not the silence of abandonment, but the hush of something waiting. Kavya and Arjun arrived under cover of night, guided by Vishwakarma's fragmented coordinates. Beneath the crumbled university, past collapsed lecture halls and scorched manuscripts, lay a hidden chamber untouched by time, the Memory Vault. It wasn't built by humans, not entirely. The architecture fused Mauryan stonework with alien alloys, glyphs etched in both Brahmi script and Rakshasa fractals. Vishwakarma pulsed with recognition. This site predates the Mahabharata. The Rakshasas were here before. Inside, Kavya found crystalline nodes embedded in the walls, each one humming with stored consciousness. She interfaced with the vault, risking psychic overload. Memories flooded her mind, ancient sages debating cosmic ethics, warriors resisting psychic erasure, and a warning encoded in myth. The Rakshasas had come once before, during the Kurukshetra War. They fed on chaos, rewriting minds to prolong conflict. Vyasa, the chronicler, had sealed their influence in encrypted verses. The Mahabharata wasn't just history. It was a firewall. Arjun uncovered a relic, a blade forged from both Rakshasa tech and Vedic ritual, designed to sever psychic links. He named it Smriti Vajra, the memory thunderbolt. But the vault was unstable. The Rakshasas sensed the breach. Kavya's mind began to fracture, voices overlapping, identities blurring. Arjun anchored her with a mantra, his voice steady. "You are Kavya Rao, daughter of Mira, guardian of memory." She stabilized, but changed. Her eyes now shimmered with vault light. She could hear the Rakshasas before they spoke. She could remember things that hadn't happened yet. They left Nalanda with the blade, the vault's coordinates, and a new mission. Mount Kailash wasn't just their destination, it was the rewrite point. Chapter 8. The Final Ascent. Mount Kailash loomed like a cosmic antenna, its peak veiled in stormlight, its base surrounded by Rakshasa sentinels. The mountain was no longer just sacred, it was active, pulsing, broadcasting. Kavya felt it before she saw it, a low-frequency hum that resonated with every memory she carried, every voice she'd absorbed from the memory vault. Vishwakarma confirmed it. This is the rewrite point. If they complete the signal, Earth's collective memory will collapse. Major Arjun Verma led the final assault. Agni Protocol's last operatives, monks from Varanasi, and survivors of the quantum Yajna. Each carried mnemonic anchors, relics, chants, stories etched into bone. They were not just soldiers. They were librarians of the soul. The Rakshasa mothership hovered above the summit, its architecture shifting like a living mandala. Inside, Kavya and Arjun breached the core, a chamber of light and shadow where time folded. The Rakshasa Prime awaited them, a being of pure mnemonic energy, wearing the face of every god humanity had ever imagined. "You are not defenders," it whispered. "You are hoarders of pain." Kavya stepped forward, her voice layered with ancestral echoes. "Pain is memory. Memory is identity, and identity is resistance." She activated the Smriti Vajra, the memory thunderbolt. It pulsed with every story Earth had refused to forget. The Rakshasa Prime screamed, its form unraveling into corrupted myths and false histories. But the signal was still live. Arjun made the final choice. He stepped into the core, offering his consciousness as a stabilizer. Kavya tried to stop him, but he smiled, soft, resolute. "Let me be the anchor. Let me be remembered." The signal collapsed. The mothership disintegrated. Mount Kailash fell silent. Kavya awoke days later in a monastery, her mind intact but changed. Vishwakarma was gone. Arjun's body was never found. But across India, people remembered things they'd never known. Songs from lost languages, names of forgotten heroes, stories that had no source. And in the night sky, the Saptarishi constellation pulsed once more. A new signal, a new story. Chapter 9. The Echo of Dharma. The world did not forget. In the weeks following the collapse of the Rakshasa signal, India stirred with quiet awe. Elders recalled childhoods they never lived. Children spoke in dialects long extinct. Forgotten songs resurfaced in dreams. The past had not been restored. It had been reawakened. Dr. Kavya Rao wandered the ghats of Varanasi, her mind still echoing with voices from the memory vault. She was no longer just a scientist. She was a vessel, a living archive. Vishwakarma's final transmission had fused with her neural lattice, making her the custodian of Earth's uncorrupted memory. She lit a lamp and released it into the Ganges. "For Arjun," she whispered. His sacrifice had stabilized the signal, anchoring humanity's identity in myth and memory. No grave marked his passing. No monument bore his name. But across India, stories of a soldier-scholar began to circulate, tales of a man who fought with mantras and remembered with fire. At the Agni Protocol's rebuilt headquarters, a new division was formed, the Smriti Guard. Their mission was simple: preserve memory, protect myth, and resist psychic manipulation. Kavya trained them herself, teaching them to wield ritual as resistance, story as shield. One night, as she calibrated a new firewall chant, a signal pulsed from the Saptarishi constellation. 3 bursts, a pause, 7 bursts, then a voice. It was Arjun, or something wearing his memory. "I am not gone," it said. "I am remembered." Kavya smiled, tears tracing her cheeks. The Rakshasas had failed, but the cosmos was listening, and Earth had learned to speak truth. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.